Imagine being on a plane, just trying to relax, when suddenly a flight attendant singles you out, humiliates you in front of everyone, and even slaps you, all because of the color of your skin. But what this racist flight attendant didn't know, the woman she just attacked wasn't just any passenger. She was the billionaire who owned the entire airline. What happens next will leave you speechless. The black woman boards the plane, dressed casually, blending in with the other passengers. She finds her seat, ready to relax for the flight. But almost immediately, a white flight attendant notices her. The attendant's demeanor changes, cold stares, clipped words, and an obvious reluctance to assist her. When the woman politely asks for a drink, the attendant rolls her eyes and mutters under her breath, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. The tension is palpable. As the flight progresses, the attendant's behavior grows worse. She accidentally spills water on the woman's lap, then laughs it off without apologizing. Other passengers glance uncomfortably but say nothing. The woman remains calm, refusing to give the attendant the reaction she's clearly seeking. But then, the attendant crosses a line. During a routine check, she deliberately bumps into the woman, and when the woman asks her to be careful, the attendant snaps. "Don't tell me what to do," she hisses, her voice dripping with disdain. The confrontation escalates. The attendant leans in, her face twisted with anger, and delivers a stinging slap across the woman's face. The sound echoes through the cabin. Passengers gasp, but no one intervenes. The woman sits there, stunned but composed, as the attendant storms off, smug and unbothered. The woman doesn't cry or make a scene. Instead, she quietly pulls out her phone and begins typing. The other passengers whisper among themselves, some shaking their heads, others avoiding eye contact. The flight attendant, now back at her station, smirks, convinced she's untouchable. But what she doesn't know is that the woman she just humiliated and assaulted isn't just another passenger. She's the billionaire owner of the airline, and she's about to make sure this kind of behavior never happens again. What do you think happens next? Do you think the flight attendant will get away with it, or will justice be served? Drop your guesses below. The tension in the cabin is thick, and the woman's calm demeanor only adds to the suspense. Everyone can feel it. Something big is about to happen. But for now, the flight continues, the attendant oblivious to the storm she's just unleashed. The woman sits quietly in her seat, her face calm, but her mind racing. The sting of the slap still lingers, but she doesn't react. Instead, she pulls out her phone and begins typing a message. The other passengers glance at her nervously, wondering why she isn't making a scene. The flight attendant, now back at her station, smirks to herself, convinced she's put the woman in her place. But the woman isn't just any passenger. She's the billionaire owner of the airline, and she's about to turn the tables in a way no one sees coming. As the plane begins its descent, the woman sends her message. Within minutes, the captain receives a notification on his device. His face pales as he reads it. He immediately calls the flight attendant into the cockpit. Confused, the attendant obeys, still wearing that smug expression. But as soon as she steps inside, the captain's tone is icy. "Do you have any idea who you just slapped?" he asks, his voice trembling with anger. The attendant's confidence falters. She stammers, trying to defend herself, but the captain cuts her off. "That woman out there owns this airline. She owns this plane, and you just assaulted her in front of everyone." The attendant's face drains of color. Her hands start to shake as the reality of what she's done sinks in. Meanwhile, the woman remains seated, her expression unreadable. Passengers whisper among themselves, sensing something is happening but unsure what. When the plane lands, the attendant is ordered to stay behind. The woman, however, exits first, greeted by a team of executives waiting on the tarmac. They're visibly nervous, apologizing profusely, but the woman cuts them off with a single sentence. We're holding a press conference in 1 hour. The executives scramble to make arrangements while the woman heads to a private lounge. There, she drafts a statement, her mind focused not just on her own experience, but on the countless others who face similar discrimination. She knows this isn't just about one flight attendant. It's about a system that allows such behavior to go unchecked. At the press conference, the woman steps up to the podium, her presence commanding the room. She begins by recounting what happened on the flight, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "This isn't just my story," she says. "This is the story of every person who's ever been treated unfairly because of the color of their skin." She then announces sweeping changes for the airline: mandatory anti-racism training for all staff, a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination, and a new initiative to promote diversity at every level of the company. The room erupts in applause, but the woman isn't finished. "This isn't just about one airline," she says. "This is about setting a standard for the entire industry." The flight attendant, watching from the sidelines, realizes her career is over. But more than that, she realizes the gravity of her actions, how one moment of hate can lead to a lifetime of consequences. What do you think about the changes the billionaire is making? Do you believe this will actually make a difference, or is it just for show? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The story isn't over yet. The woman's actions spark a global conversation, forcing other airlines to reevaluate their own policies. But for now, the focus is on her, the billionaire who turned a moment of hate into a movement for change. The press conference room is packed, buzzing with reporters and cameras. The billionaire steps up to the podium, her presence commanding silence. She begins by recounting the incident on the plane, her voice steady but laced with emotion. "I was slapped, humiliated, and treated like I didn't belong, all because of the color of my skin," she says, her words cutting through the room like a knife. The audience is stunned, hanging on her every word. Then, she drops the bombshell. "But this isn't just about me. This is about every person who's ever been made to feel less than human because of their race." She pauses, letting the weight of her words sink in. That's why, effective immediately, this airline is implementing a zero-tolerance policy for racism. Any employee who engages in discriminatory behavior will be terminated on the spot. The room erupts in murmurs, but she isn't done. "We're also launching a company-wide initiative to promote diversity and inclusion. This includes mandatory anti-racism training for all staff, a new hiring program to ensure our workforce reflects the world we serve, and a 24/7 hotline for passengers to report any incidents of discrimination." As she speaks, the flight attendant who slapped her watches from the back of the room, her face pale and her hands trembling. She realizes her career is over, but more than that, she understands the gravity of what she's done. The billionaire's words aren't just about firing her. They're about dismantling a system that allowed her behavior to go unchecked for so long. The billionaire then turns to the cameras, addressing the world. "This isn't just about one airline. This is about setting a standard for the entire industry. If you're watching this and you've ever been treated unfairly because of who you are, know this: you deserve better. And if I have anything to say about it, better is what you're going to get." The room erupts in applause, but the billionaire doesn't smile. Her expression is serious, determined. She knows this is just the beginning. As she steps away from the podium, reporters shout questions, but she doesn't stop. She's already thinking about the next steps, the changes she'll push for, and the lives she'll impact. The flight attendant, meanwhile, slips out of the room, her head down. She knows she's become the face of everything wrong with the system, a system that's about to change forever. What do you think about the billionaire's decision to take such a strong stand? Do you believe this will lead to real change, or is it just a temporary fix? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The tension in the room is palpable, the stakes higher than ever. This isn't just a story about one woman's revenge. It's a story about justice, accountability, and the power of one person to make a difference. And it's far from over. If you believe in standing up against racism and want to hear more stories like this, hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to check out the next video. It's another story you won't want to miss. Please note this story is a work of fiction only for education and entertainment purposes.